Yes, diabetes is absolutely a genetic disease, and yes, absolutely, diabetes is also a lifestyle disease.
Is it true that diabetes is a genetic disease? I presume I was tagged in this video expecting for me to disagree, but I absolutely agree with the statements made in this video. The most important risk factors for diabetes include age, gender, obesity, family history, physical inactivity, high blood pressure, and prediabetes. With that being said, I want you to take a look at this graph. The bottom portion of this graph represents body mass index, and the vertical portion of this graph represents the number of people who develop type 2 diabetes. And these four lines represent four different ethnicities. As you can see, not only do South Asians start off initially at a higher risk of type 2 diabetes, but the same percentage of South Asians develop type 2 diabetes at a body mass index of 24, as Caucasians would at a body mass index of 30. This is referred to as the personal fat threshold. Essentially, everyone can accumulate a certain amount of body fat. In essence, everyone has a threshold in which they accumulate so much body fat that their fat cells become so enlarged that they begin to develop whole body insulin resistance and diabetes. One of, if not the most important driving factor, is fat distribution. Specifically, the distribution of visceral fat, which is the fat surrounding the organs, and subcutaneous fat, which is the fat immediately underneath the skin. This fat distribution is regulated by genetics, and the more rapidly you develop visceral fat, the more likely you are to develop diabetes. And I may store the same amount of visceral fat at 30% body fat as my friend would store at 20% body fat. We would both begin to develop diabetes, but at drastically different body fat percentages. It appears that Asians develop visceral fat at a far lower body fat mass than do Africans and Europeans, explaining the drastically different personal fat thresholds. And to date, there are 460 genetic variants that are related to fat distribution. And there are multiple different gene variants that are directly associated with an increased risk of developing type 2 diabetes. In the grand scheme of things, there absolutely are genetic predispositions to developing type 2 diabetes at a far lower body weight. There are also myriad lifestyle factors that can reduce the risk of type 2 diabetes, specifically physical activity and maintaining a lower body mass index. But it appears it is absolutely correct that diabetes is both lifestyle and genetic. With that being said, if you would like an individualized approach to your nutrition and lifestyle to optimize your health, energy, and body composition, send me a DM to sign up for coaching.